Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here again to share with you another process video for 49 and Market using the new Alena collection. My last video was also with this collection, and I'm totally in love with it. For this layout, I'm using a combination of Happy Dancers, Flirty, and Full Bloom. So it's Full Bloom that's that background piece with the big floral wreath at the top. Happy Dancers is that blue one with the orange selvage strip, and Flirty is that darker apricot that I'm going to use. So Flirty is going to be my background pattern paper. If you didn't want to use a full sheet of pattern paper to create this layout on, because it's lots of strips of different pattern papers, you need a 12 by 12 piece behind it. So you could use a sheet of cardstock if you didn't want to use a full sheet of 49 and Market pattern paper. So you can see I'm starting to trim pieces of all these different pattern papers, and what I'm doing is creating a lot of different strips across this layout. And then the photo is going to sit approximately where I've got it laid there. And so I'm taking advantage of the fact that I've already got a torn edge here, and I'm using my cutter to cut off a neat edge, which will be tucked underneath. So I'm going to end up with rows of torn edges, and it's going to contrast with this teal paper where I've left the orange selvage on, and I'm not having a torn strip for that. And that's the piece the photo is going to sit on. So now I'm using strips. So the pale blue is the same colour that's on that floral. It's the same paper as the floral at the top. And then I'm going to use another piece of that really dark apricot orange, which is the other side of that floral paper. And so now I've got different strips of the different colours going down the page. And I really love this combination of the orange or apricot coral colour with the teal. Absolutely love it. So now I'm just going to pull out some pieces from the embellishments. I'm using the laser cut elements at the moment, and I've got the ribbon. I love these ribbons. They are just unreal. They're so fine and delicate, but they just look really like tied ribbon. So I have got another piece on the other side, on the right side of the photo, but I don't end up using that here because it gets covered up with other embellishments over there, so I didn't need it. And I don't want to waste them because I absolutely love them. And so now I'm going through various other items in the embellishments that go with this Alena collection. And I've got some of the 6x8 rub-ons here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out some of the rub-ons and leaving the backing on so I can move it around and get a feel for where I want it to appear on the layout. And now I'm cutting out another word strip, which I'm going to put down the edge of the photos on the right-hand side. And I've also cutting out, I believe, or maybe not quite yet. Oh no, I'm going through some chipboard pieces. So there's some really nice chipboard pieces in this collection as well, as there usually is with the 49 and Market collections now. And I'm just sorting through that pile of chipboard to find some suitable word phrases for this layout. So I found a little tag to go at the top. The photos are of my nieces enjoying the English summer with some water play. Of course, they're going into some colder weather now, but it's nice to use these bright, happy summer photos with this bright, happy paper. So this is a round chipboard circle, which I've put one of the bright coral hearts onto, which is also in chipboard. And another chipboard circle word there. And the little banner strip. And I believe I'm going to find a cute little heart, a little floral heart this time to go down. So that's creating a nice cluster. And it's also covering the end of that a laser cut ribbon piece, so you can't see that it doesn't go all the way underneath the photo. So now that I've picked out my chipboard pieces, I'm just tidying up a wee bit here. which I'm a very messy scrapbooker, so it's amazing that I'm actually putting these away before I get to the end of the layout. And then I'm also going to use some of these beautiful floral rub-ons from the 6x8 pack. Now I'm going to layer this underneath my title, which is the Loved This, but I'm actually going to cut the title down too. Or do I? No, I think I do. I think I cut it down to Love This rather than Loved This, and I'm actually going to layer the title over the floral rub-ons. And then you'll see a tip that I've got for when it looks like they're blended a bit too much to get that title to stand out when we get further on in this process video. And now I've got some more of the laser cut items, and I've got some flowers this time. So I'm just having a play with whether I was going to put it up on with the chipboard circle, but I didn't like it. It just felt all a bit bitsy up in that corner. And so the cluster wasn't tight enough, and it didn't seem to balance or work for me. Yet unusually, I think that the chipboard, that teal chipboard circle with the little coral heart, even though it's floating up away from the other tag, to me it just seems to work. And I think it's because the colours carry across or cause the cluster to look more together. I don't know why, but it did work, because normally, and I've said this before in videos, I really like my clusters, everything in the clusters, to touch each other. So it is a bit unusual for me to have an item just off to the top like that. So now I'm going to stick all my pattern pieces down. If you do want to replicate this layout, my tip to you, and what I wrote in my written instructions for this layout, was to start from the bottom, because all the pieces overlap. As you go down the page, if you start from the bottom and build up, it's much easier than the faffing around I had to do to get all this to sit. But, you know, I made it work. So you can do it this way if you want to follow along directly with me. Or, as I said, in the instructions, if you work from the bottom, you don't have to not stick bottom edges of papers down in order to be able to feed up underneath if you work from the bottom of the page. So if you do want to follow along with me, you'll note that on those bigger pieces, I didn't stick all of the piece down. So that I only put glue at the top section so that I could feed layers of paper in underneath, like I've done just here. And now I'm going back and putting glue at the bottom. So either way, you can make it work. But you do have to be careful not to stick down edges that you then want to feed up to, or stick down embellishments that you then realise you didn't put something under that you needed to, like I'm doing with this laser cut ribbon at the moment. And take my word for it, I use Art Glitter Glue, which is my wet glue of choice. It grabs really fast, and when it does, stuff doesn't want to come back up. And as I start faffing around here, I realise, oops, I haven't put down my floral rub-on, and I don't want it to go on top of this laser cut ribbon. So somehow I need to get this very, very, very fine and delicate laser cut up in order to be able to stick my rub-ons down. So I did get up a layer of it. I didn't get all of it up, but I got enough to be able to put the rub-on in. So I've just stuck that rub-on, actually goes over a few layers, so it's a little bit over that orange diagonal selvage strip piece, over the teal, and then a little bit up onto the photo. And I like how that rub-on sort of joins everything together. As I said, I usually like all of my elements touching each other, so that's what this rub-on's doing. And now that I've got the rub-on on, I am just re-sticking the glue down, and then I can re-stick that laser cut down, and it worked fine. So lucky I did not break it or tear it, so that was good. And now I'm just sticking down some of the chipboard that's creating a cluster on that corner of the photo and covering up that end of the laser cut ribbons. So as I said, I've got a chipboard circle, a chipboard banner, and a little chipboard heart that I'm putting in that cluster. The chipboard banner, because it's overlapping the chipboard circle, I have just put some foam tape, and same with the heart because it's just overlapping a bit onto the circle as well. So that it sits up nice and even, I have added little bits of foam tape where the items are not on the chipboard circle so that they will sit level. Now I'm putting the title in here. And it's another rub-on. So rub-ons can be a little bit translucent. So you'll see when I lift up the protective plastic on this that it doesn't stand out as well as what I might have wanted. So at the end of this process video, I will show you what I did to help that stand out more. And so now I'm just putting the rub-on down the right-hand side of the photos. So this photo size are 4x3s. There's two 4x3 photos. I use a selfie to print them, and I use the I think it's the N up setting, and I do two photos to the 6x4. So I'm just using my wet glue to stick all these chipboard pieces down, and then I have some more of those laser cut flowers which I'm sticking down at the bottom right hand corner of the photos. Again, you can see that all of my elements and clusters around my photos are touching the photo, and they're all touching each other except for that little chipboard circle. And even though it's not like me to not have my clusters touching, I really like that chipboard circle up there underneath those flowers. So just getting all those bits stuck down. I've added a little laser cut butterfly down with the flowers, and a little butterfly up with the tab that's at the top of the photos. And so now I am looking at this and I'm feeling, yep, that is definitely not standing out, that title. So I'm just using my white pen to put a drop shadow on these letters of the rub-on. And so what it's doing is it's just making it pop off the rub-on on the background. So it's making it stand out by putting that white shadow on it. So although you won't see it here, I've also added some white pen work on some of the chipboard elements and the laser cut flowers, just to tie all of those elements in with the title. And you can see now that that stands out a lot better. And you'll see in the close-up photos, close-ups of that title work. I was a little bit messy on the L, unfortunately, but hey, it does the job. I was happy with it in the end, and the messy line work that you'll see in the photos that I've done on the other elements help tie it all together. Okay, so you'll be able to check out these close-up photos now. If you've got any questions, please feel free to leave them below and I shall attempt to answer them for you. And thank you very much for joining me again for this process video for 49 and Market. I'll see you again soon. Bye.